Alright, so we've got our fireball going then. So what's our next step going to be? Well, I guess we're going to do the regular attack. Alright, so at this point in time, this is what I've got. And we can use the same techniques that we use for the special move, basically, to put the regular attacks in. So this is going to be a little bit faster than the previous one. So attacks, and again, we want to, well, I think at this point I kind of want to copy over the code that I've already written, simply because typing everything is going to, cost some extra time. So, and you know how all this stuff works anyway. So regular attacks only happen when we have no special attack or jumps, right? So we do this. Same as we did with the special move. We also don't do regular attacks when we're already doing a regular attack. So when we don't have attack, and then we check to see if we have a low punch. And last key, if you remember, actually keeps track in the last value in the key lock. So when last key equals the CLP button, in CLP we defined that in our unique variable script. So CLP is actually the E, so which corresponds with the low punch. So pressing Q. So that's in there as well. And what we do then is we set the sprite in state, and we're going to set it to Ken LP. And well, actually, I'm going to do create sprite. And well, for you guys, this might take a little bit longer if I haven't done this yet. But LP, this one. The reference point for this one will be, so the reference point will be 24.99, the way I cut out my figure, but it might be different for you. Again, you just want to open this thing up and see what the point in the middle is. It's like 25.99, 24.99, somewhere like that, okay? You have to line them all up pretty nicely. If you make your own sprites, it's this way easier. And we're going to call that sprite SCAN LP, because that's a low punch animation. Now, we can actually put these sprites in groups. So I'm just going to go with attacks and create another group called, well, we're going to have one for a movement as well. And the Hadouken is a special move, so that's an attack. So let's just drop that in there. Let's just drop it in there. There we go. An idle would be, well, more the movements when you're not pressing buttons, I guess. And the LP is an attack as well. So you can make groups so this is a little bit clearer. You can put your projectile stuff separate as well if you'd like. So anyway, you can always make groups too. If you really, say you want to make this game completely done with all the buttons and everything, you probably want to use groups. Alright, so yeah, that's what we got here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to close this all down. So basically that's it. So again, same as with the special move, we're going to use the animation. Once the animation is 0, we're going to disable the attack again. And it's exactly the same stuff we did for the special move, really. So let's see if this works. Compiling. Alright, pressing Q. Alright, QQQ, special move. Doesn't work, special move. Alright. And now I'm going to do... Alright. And I'm going to try to punch during the special move. Doesn't work, but it will punch right after. So we've got our main, a punch in there. And if you want to have multiple punches, you can start working on this thing. You can do if last key is something else. And actually, if you want to input more things, some of the advanced will have it. You could also do a switch. Switch would work like this. Switch last key. Whoops. Here we go. And then you do case. And you always have to, last line of your case, you should put break. So you could do case, go CLP, case, C low key, low kick. We haven't got a low kick yet, but this is what it would look like. And then you would put all your stuff. The attack one thing. All of that goes in here. Right. So, and this way, it's easier to survey than having a lot of if statements, and it basically just switch and it'll see what value does last key have, and then pick the one that corresponds with a case, and then do whatever's in that case. So for more information on switches, just check the help. It's really straightforward. But if you have a lot of you know, ifs right after one another, you probably are better off using a switch instead of an if condition. All right, cool beans. Okay, so that's our regular attack. Well, we're like 5 minutes into this video. Well, might as well. Nah, I can't upload it yet because I'm still uploading previous video. I think I'm just gonna move forward and get into the next thing right away. So that will be movement then. All right. So horizontal movement, and this is going to be slightly different, so it's going to take us a little bit longer maybe. The idle always has to come in the end, so... Well, I don't think it actually does, but... I put it in the end, let's keep it there. In my mind, it's at the end. Horizontal movement. So, let's do a horizontal movement, and again, we're always going to start with our flag, so if, you know, this will not work every time when a video is uploaded, I get this web browser popping up. So anyway, if we're not in special, if we're not in attack, then we can do our movement. And at this point, well, we can move when we're already moving. We can switch back. So we're not going to do if we're not moving, because that doesn't make sense. So basically, what we're going to need is we're going to set a couple of variables so we can keep track of our movement. And these are going to be common variables. So I'm going to move back a little bit on this thing here, and sorry about that. Let me just... Alright, so I'm going to set some more common variables which are actually the same for both players, and for some reason my window isn't popping up here, so I'm assuming that must be hidden somewhere. Here we go. Alright, so set movement variables, because it's easier to put these things up front than having to replicate them over and over again. We could just put them in move and then don't worry about it, but these things need to happen in the create event, while movement has to happen in the step event. You know, setting a variable, you only do that at the beginning. You're not going to change that over and over. It might lead to bugs, so you just want to, when it gets created, you set that variable, and then you, during the step event when you're constantly checking for movement, you don't have to worry about it anymore. So alright, we want a maximum speed for our character, and you can just use the values that actually, I'm just going to... Yeah, so you can use the values that I'm using. And we have an acceleration for our characters. So this is the max speed. They're never going to go faster than this, and this is how fast they go from standing still to the max speed. So acceleration, maximum speed. And actually, we're also going to need friction, because we want... You know, when we release the key, you want to have our character slow down. So this is kind of like a improvised physics engine, and the friction is going to be a value of 1. Okay? So those are going to be our movement variables. Max speed, acceleration, and friction. Now, we're not going to use the actual physics engine in Game Maker. The physics variables actually all start with... Oh, needs to do this in index. With phi or with physics. So GameMaker has a pretty extensive physics system. You can even do reverse kinematics and all that kind of stuff. The typical, you know, if we would use the physics engine, we would use physics apply force and physics apply impulse, or physics apply local force and local impulse and so forth. Not going to do that right now. It would be overkill. We don't really need real physics, so it's way easier to work with, to make our own physics for this thing. So, alright. Cool. So let's get to it then. So first of all, we basically want to add motion to our player. So motion add, similar like we did for the fireball, and we need a direction. Let's say we want our player to go right. That's going to be a 0, and we're going to have him move right with at the speed of acceleration. So if we're not doing an attack, he's going to move. All right. Just to show you how that works, I'm quickly just going to run it. See, and he's gone. Okay, so basically we only want this to happen when we are pressing the right key, right? So if, and we can just use our little key log engine again, if key is C right, then we're going to add that motion. However, that's when we want him to go right. If we want him to go left, we are going to add motion as well, and I typically line these things up easily, you know, exactly. So I put some extra space in between the left. 180 is actually going left, so direction is angles. 0 is right, 90 is down, 270 is up and 180 is left. Cool. So that's how our motions. I'm not going to run it because this thing is going to work. Well, when we run this, as soon as we press the right button, you'll see exactly what you just saw in earlier. He will just fly off screen really quickly, and it's going to be hard to keep control over him. The reason why is because we're just adding to the speed, the acceleration. It's like, I think the acceleration was 2, so frame 1 is 2, then it's 4, then it's 8, then it's 10. No, it's actually 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and so forth. So before you know it, the speed of the character is going to be really hard and really high and really hard to contain him. So what we want to do is we want to keep our horizontal speed below that max speed. So we only max speed that we set. So it can never be higher than 6. That's basically what we're saying here. So as long as our horizontal speed is low enough, you can add acceleration to the speed of the character. Now, one thing though, when a character goes left, horizontal speed goes negative. Okay, so we could have him go at 1 million miles an hour to the left. It will still be lower than 6 miles, right? Well, it's not really miles, it's probably pixels, but anyway. So what we want to do is we want to use the function ABS, which stands for absolute value. Okay, so if the absolute value of horizontal speed is lower than 6, we can actually press a button and add to the acceleration of the character with these little lines of code. Happy little lines of code. So absolute value will, if horizontal speed is minus 6, the absolute value will take away the sign, so it will say minus 6 here, but then absolute value will turn to the 6 again, and this will actually work the way we intend it to work. Okay, so yeah, move basically. So let's see if that works. You guys can run it as well. All right. Okay, that's not entirely what I was expecting. So I guess I can't get him to come back by pressing the left key. Huh. Oh yeah, because when I hit 6, he'll just keep going. So yeah. So I guess that ain't good. Well, actually, that's not the case. Let me just debug this real quick. I think you guys are. So we're just gonna put H speed in there and see where it's at and what happens when I press these buttons. I'm probably not limiting the max speed, and acceleration will still keep going on or something. All right, let's press the button to go right. And we're already at 8, and yeah, okay, so that's what happens. We go at, yeah, okay, so we're equal to the max speed, and we go to 8, but yeah, that's not good. So let's limit the max speed in another line. Limit the speed. So if our horizontal speed is larger than max speed, we're going to set the horizontal speed equal to the max speed. All right, and actually we'll have to do that the other way around as well. So if it's smaller than minus max speed, then we're going to set it equal to minus max speed. Now we can't use the absolute value here because we would, we would like to still be able to go left. So now we're limiting the speed, and now we will never get to 8, so we can still go back to the left. Let's see if that works out. This is perfect. All right. Still need a walk animation, but we'll put that in a second. All right. Now the one thing is, we'd like to. I should have tried that out, but we still need to use the friction, because if I press, look at how slow it is for him to get back. Well, eventually he might, but probably he wouldn't actually. So we need to use that friction thing. How do you make things in the real world come to a stop? You use friction. Just read up on your physics if you don't remember. So if the horizontal speed is greater than 0, we're going to apply friction, which basically is, we're going to do the opposite of the add motion. We're going to do h speed minus equals to fric. And we're going to have to do, when we're smaller than 0, we're going to do plus. So when we're going left, we're going to do plus. When we're going right, we're going to do minus. And this way, our character will slow down. And that's basically all there is to our movement script. Everything else is, see, now he will stop as soon as I release the button. All right, try it out. Okay, So the other thing is, if we are doing our special RR attack, we don't want any movement going on. So we're going to automatically set the horizontal speed to 0. Why do we do this? Well, if you're doing a fireball while you're moving, let me just show you what happens if I don't. So I'm moving, fireball. Oh, it's pretty hard. Let me move back. It's going to be easier to trigger it. No? Well, look, I'm able to punch. Yeah, it's easier than the fireball. I mean, Oppa Gangnam Style. See, but I'm moving during fireballs and everything. It's not what we want. So to make sure that that doesn't happen, we're going to do horizontal speed equals 0. Whenever, you know, if we're not in special and we're not in attack, do this. Else, horizontal speed is 0. All right. So one more thing that we need is we need to set the walking state. And I'm just going to copy that script over because it's fairly straightforward. So we set the sprite in the walking state. So if the absolute value of the horizontal speed is higher than 0 and we're not jumping, we go to can walk. And can walk is, again, a sprite that I still have to create. So just going to load the sprite. Can walk, where are you at? Here we go. And I don't know by heart again what this thing is. So it's around 21.104, maybe 22.104. It's actually, well, I'm going to do 105. So 22.105 is what I'm going to use. Here we go. All right. So, and that thing still has to get its name. So it's going to be scanWalk. Boom. And then we set walk into 1, else we set walk into 0. So this thing will just check if we have any negative or positive speed and if we're not jumping. And then we can set the walk animation, and we set our flag. And if we don't have any of that, we're going to set the flag to 0. All right. So let's see what that does for us. Yeah, Street Fighter Shuffle. And looking at the fireball, yeah, it looks like I lined it up nicely. Let's do the punch real quick. Yeah, no, the shadow stays exactly the same. So I use good values for my center point. All right, so that's all there is to it. We've got some movement. We're kicking ass. I'm just going to move this up a little bit. Guess we're ready to do some jumping, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Don't forget to save.